Charlie's going to give us a demonstration of storytelling, and I want you to listen in for how many of the 6 key steps of storytelling that Charlie uses in this story called The Big Ask.
It's almost 20 years ago, 1997, and I'm at the podium in a Las Vegas ballroom at the Interbike Trade Show. The bike industry's 200 senior leaders have packed this room to hear our pitch. I've summarized our campaign, and now this is my big finish. You've heard the threats from Washington and our proposed response. If we don't start this Bikes Belong campaign now and win it, federal funding for bicycling will completely disappear. So, are you ready to join us and get this campaign started? I stop talking, allowing space for a response. Silence echoes back at me. The highway lobby has targeted our share of federal funding for bike infrastructure nationally. Andy Clark of Rails to Trails, Cozy Simon of the League of American Bicyclists, and I, representing the Bicycle Federation of America, have just risked our reputations on this first ever big ask of the bike industry to help us fight back. Our plan mobilized bicyclists and bike dealers in key congressional districts while working an overall Capitol Hill strategy. We needed to raise $300,000 from them right now to get this campaign launched immediately. Time in the ballroom slows. My body tenses, my heart pounds in my ears. I scan the audience. They're squirming, clearing their throats, and nervously looking around. I'm wondering if I'm going to need to do some kind of impromptu face-saving soft shoe act to gloss over their non-response. After all, this was an audacious ask from advocates to the bike industry. But we had never before fought as big a battle as this one, and we couldn't do it without their help. Like many good ideas, this one had come together fast. Andy scribbled it on a notepad while flying to Wyoming to pitch me in July. We honed it into a plausible proposal for this group of business leaders in September. Mike Senyard of Specialized organized the meeting and invited his peers. Our doubts lurked just below the surface. Maybe we hadn't given ourselves enough time to put together a compelling enough case for this audacious first-time ask. Maybe asking for money in public like this was just too awkward, maybe. Then on my right side, leaning against the wall in the ballroom, a young man raised his hand. I recognized him as John Burke, the new CEO of Trek Bikes, and pointed at him to speak. John says, "I like what I'm hearing from you and the team. On behalf of Trek, I pledge $100,000 for the Bikes Belong campaign to get started with one condition. The condition is that the rest of the bike industry must match this amount 2-to-1 by the end of Interbike, 3 days from now, so we can get moving." It took a moment for that to sink in on me and the audience. Our doubt had just died and our dream was on. I said, "Whoa," as the audience exploded in unbridled revelry. Applause, yelps, and standing ovations you'd expect from a joyous family whose young patriarch just stood up and signaled to his peers and family, "Success is this way, friends, follow me." I used the revelry time to take a deep breath, wipe the sweat off my hands, and bask in the emotional relief of Burke's pledge and challenge. Leaning over to Andy and Cozy, I asked them to help keep track of pledges I'm about to ask for. Thank you, John, for that generous leadership pledge and ambitious challenge. With all the confidence I could muster, I repeated his challenge and asked the audience, "So, who here will join John and join us to get this campaign started?" Hands go up around the room simultaneously, so I start on the right and work left. "I'm inspired," shouts a multi-store owner from Portland. "Put me down for $10,000. Spontaneously, another dealer responds, "Well, I'm not that inspired, but I will pledge $5,000. Cheers fill the room. One of Burke's business rivals congratulates him and makes his own pledge of $25,000. The audience roars. Each pledge inspires bursts of enthusiasm, which triggers more pledges. The momentum is real, and the joy in the room is contagious. Andy and Cozy are keeping up with the staccato pace of pledges as I recognize another man with his hand in the air. He stands and says, "On behalf of the Chicagoland Bicycle Dealers Association, who just held a board meeting at this table, we pledged $25,000 to the campaign." After a few more pledges, I asked Andy for an accounting. After some addition, Andy reports that of the $300,000 goal, the campaign had just secured pledges totaling $285,000. and $10,000. Not a bad start for a 20-minute-old campaign. 2 days later, we had met our fundraising goal, and the Bikes Belong campaign was real and ultimately successful. Since 1997, we can trace two big outcomes back to the big ask. In 97, bike advocates in the bike industry joined forces, worked hard, and were fearless. Bicyclists today are benefiting from literally billions of public dollars invested in new bicycling infrastructure across the country because of this partnership. And today, Bikes Belong has evolved into People for Bikes, and we bike advocates have more respect and wield more power in city halls and state capitals than ever before. I'm proud of our political movement's accomplishments to date. However, signals from Washington indicate new battles for bike infrastructure are on the horizon. The question for us today is whether or not bicyclists will be heard and respected in this new conversation. I think it's time for a new big ask.
Thank you, Charlie. That was great.